Hello, lifers, and welcome to another episode of Because Life Can Be a Niche. Welcome to the living room. Come on in. So glad to have you here. For those who are new, welcome. Thank you for joining on the ride with us. Thank you for coming to do life with us. Glad to have you here joining us either on audio, or if you're watching video on YouTube, then definitely come on in and have a seat. Remember, on the YouTube channel, if you are watching and you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time. Hit the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything and it helps us out a lot. For those of you who are on social media, get in the comments, get at me. I'd love to engage with you outside of just this podcast. It's at Katie Bryant Writes. That's at Katie Bryant Writes on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And you know I'm dropping a blog soon. I said I was dropping a blog last week maybe. Haven't dropped it yet, but I will be dropping it because I finished writing it forever ago and now I'm editing. That's my life, is editing. So I will be dropping that blog on katiebryantwrites.com, and the blog is Life Unfolding. Be sure to follow there and subscribe so you know when I do actually drop something. And you guys know how we always do. It is the tea of the episode, and the tea of the episode this time is turmeric ginger tea, and it's supposed to be stress relieving and harmonizing. So get yourself some of that. It's not one of my normal loose leaves, but every now and then I do like to do teas that are more, I guess, cleansing, or definitely something good for your health and good for your system. And turmeric is definitely one that is very important to the body. So that is my tea. Have it here in my cup, of course, because life can be a niche. It's not a teacup, but it's my cup, and I love it. So with that said, I feel harmonized already, and my stress is reducing. Look at that! Isn't that a wonderful thing, y'all? Let's go ahead and get into the topic of this episode, because I remember last week we talked about the pandemic, and we're in the second part of a series called Pandemic Revelations. And the first one, of course, we talked about just things that I learned in the pandemic. One was I needed some me time. I definitely needed some TLC to just take better care of myself. I was definitely concerned about my mom and my kids, because we've been here holed up since March. We haven't traveled. We haven't done any of the things that really give us that sense of peace. So I was just sharing with you then about something that I realized that I needed to change. But also in the whole pandemic discussion, there has been this this trend. I guess I will call it a trend, where it's amazing how relationships have changed or have been altered as a result of either the pandemic, or the pandemic brought to light things that were going on in relationships that you didn't even realize and that you weren't aware of. And so that's the topic. We're talking about relationships. We're going to talk about relationships a lot, because there are all types of relationships. There's love, there's friendships, there's relationships with co-workers. People are unfriending folks on Facebook and Twitter, and just really the pandemic has brought out probably more clarity for some people, or just lower tolerance for stuff that you feel like, I just don't have time for all that extra going on, and I don't want to engage in that. And so I think what's happened is we're seeing now people making decisions now that you have more time to really evaluate what you're willing to tolerate or put up with. We talked about a little bit last week. We have racial injustice and systemic racism, and we've been dealing with, and peaceful demonstrators and all kinds of civic and social things. And then we have, people who've lost jobs and who have had income decrease. And then you have the debate about to send kids to school, to not send kids to school, to play football, to not play football. You don't have your sports, you don't have your outdoor activity. I definitely miss my baseball games. I'm probably going to end up missing football because it looks like we might not have football. So I'm definitely going to miss that. And even if we did, I wouldn't even be going. Let me be honest with y'all. I'm not going out in crowds right now. So even if we had it, I probably wouldn't even be there. But we have all of these things coming at us, and a lot of the things that give people relief or give people an out, so to speak, have been taken away. And even socializing, I mentioned I miss my girl gang and hanging out with my girlfriends, just not be a mom, just not be a colleague, just to let my hair down and to just be me. And that is not even happening much because all of my girlfriends are, we're all on the same wavelength. We're being very careful about who we allow in our circle and, who we're visiting and stuff, because it is serious out there. So you have all of that. And then I'm looking at these posts, and I've been talking to some of my girlfriends and my cousins, and you have your familial relationships. So, some people with their family situations, now that you don't have the bar to go to, you don't have the cigar room to go to, or the girls' night out to go to, you really you're at home with people. You booed up and bayed up with people during a pandemic, and it is revealing one of two things. One, that you're with the right person and that you really know who they are. Two, you're with the right person and you don't really know. You're figuring out more about them through this, being, kind of not trapped, but in closed space for an extended period of time. I'll say three things, or three, you're with someone and maybe now you're thinking, what happened? How am I with that someone? So we're going to talk about relationships through this pandemic. And I'm talking about love relationships. I'm not talking about friendships and all. We're going to talk about that too, just not on this episode. But if let's be real and talk about dating and how the pandemic has impacted your dating situation, or your situationship, or you thought you were dating and you weren't, or I don't even know what you call it. But it's been interesting, the conversations that I've been in on, girl, you just wouldn't believe. We in the house all the time. We're not going anywhere. We're not getting out of the house. We're not taking trips. And, that's just getting on my nerves. And the person's getting on my nerves. Or, you realize, you thought you was in something and you wasn't. I mean, the dating game has completely changed anyway for me. Let me go and put this out there. So, I've been divorced since 2015, and I gave myself time to heal and to understand and learn and get myself together, so that when I was back out in the dating game, that I wasn't broken or confused or looking for something, or just trying to run from a marriage that ended into a relationship. So I did the work necessary, some of it by choice, some of it God, you're going to take some time to take care of you. So that all happened. But y'all, nobody told me how much the dating game had changed. I'm not even on the pandemic yet. I'm not even ready to talk about how the pandemic changed the dating game. I'm just on the dating game in general. Completely changed. I was married in 2006. And I dated, I guess we dated 7 years or something like that. So, and I was married for 9. So that time span, there was a massive memo that went out that I didn't get on how we dating in these streets now. It blows my mind still to how people move in the dating world. So I'm out here in these dating streets, and I'm thinking, you know, it's different after divorce for sure. And you're probably dating other people who are divorced or who have been engaged or in long-term relationships that have come out of them, especially when you're above the 40 line like me. And so your whole demographic is different. So you think, hey, look, we're older. I really enjoyed my years of single life, so I don't need to be out here in these streets doing things that I did when I was in my 20s, because I've done that, and I know how serious relationships are. I know how when you're talking about families and kids, that's another level of responsibility and accountability that you have to have. So I'm already like, surely this won't be a hot mess, and this won't be a hot flaming pile of poo. But y'all, I had no idea that dating had changed from when I was young and single to if you're on the phone with someone and you're talking to them every day, twice a day, and texting and emailing and sending funny stuff and going out on dates and you know, you're doing all of the dating things that are being done. You know, you're going on, like, you know, days at the park, or you're, you know, maybe going on day trips to amusement parks or going to museums, or, you know, hey, going to my baseball. You got me. You take me to a baseball game. Heck, you take me to a football game. You got me, you know, because that's stuff I enjoy doing. So you're doing all of this with one person. To me, y'all go together. That's what I thought. I'm like, oh, shoot, really, if you're talking on the phone every day, I'm like, y'all go together. No, you don't. That person can have a whole nother relationship, a whole fiance, a whole nother situation that they're doing, I guess, all the same stuff with. And because we live, you know, suburbs or city, and I'm not in my small town where I grew up anymore. I don't think you can pull this off in a small town, but you can pull it off in the suburbs of Atlanta, and you can definitely pull it off if you have long distance relationships where you literally got a whole nother setup going on. It's the exact same thing. So that dating game completely has changed completely. So that floored me. One, that took me by surprise, because I'm like, you know, people are really saying stuff, and I've even seen counselors and seen books. You know, you're single until you're married, and you're not you're until you walk down the aisle, you're still single, which is true. Legally, yes, you are, and emotionally, I guess you are. You are still single in terms of you have not entered a covenant before God. Absolutely. I guess the part that I was confused about was, well, whatever happened to committed dating or committed relationships or exclusivity? And now I'm seeing that's real loose out here now. Now that I'm dating after divorce, exclusivity is very loose. It's just thrown around. Like, if you find someone who is exclusively dating you, you have something rare, because that's just not how people move. And I mean, I'm going to bring on some experts and some people who are licensed to speak to that, because I think it goes on both sides of the coin. Have some friends who say, oh yes, you know, Katie, I date multiple people. I've never had an issue with dating multiple guys at one time, because that's what you're doing. You're dating to understand and to get to know people. And then I have others who are like, no, I'm loyal to one situation, to one person. And I date one person at a time. So monogamy is different. It means different things for different people. I'm not really one for dating multiple people at the same time, because I'm a mom of boys and I have kids, and I don't have the time. I don't have the time and energy to focus on what is he like. Wait a minute. Okay, what's his favorite food? I don't have time for that. I really need to focus on one person, one thing, because I've got a full plate as it is. In my 20s, yeah, I could probably manage and juggle that. But now, dating after divorce, for sure, dating after divorce with kids, just a lot. That is a whole lot to manage a lot of people. So that is where the angst was, I think, going into the whole dating scene, and then seeing how folks out here moving in it, and how they just have a whole lot going on. And you have to be careful in that, because you're definitely not pledging your life to someone, but you are still, I think, for me, you are involved. There's someone's feelings being involved. And when you start, just having things going on that you're not being honest about, it's different if you say, hey, I'm seeing multiple people. Some people may have been bold enough and responsible enough to say that. Kudos to you. Others out here in these streets literally getting married, and you're just like, we just went out for sushi last Friday. I mean, okay. So it's different. It is a different world altogether. And throw in a pandemic and boundaries and how you feel about, should you see each other, or should you socially distance because you're going out and about, or you're going to work, and you have maybe family members with compromised immune systems, or kids with compromised immune systems, and then you're dealing with all of that, or your relationship was already strained, and then you throw a pandemic on top of it, and you find yourself maybe having a pandemic revelation of, do I really know this person? Do I really know or understand their needs? Do they understand mine? I know, I'm telling you, I thought I was dating. I really did. I was like, oh, well, I'm in a relationship, I'm dating. Apparently I was not. And it's like, oh, we don't go together. Oh, okay. So I guess we don't go together, because I'm like, you calling and you're on the phone, and you thinking you in something and you really ain't, and you throw a pandemic in there, and you just like, man. But what it does, I think, when you are having issues or you're not really gelling, and I don't know if this is for all of y'all who are married, this is whether you're single or whether you're multiple dating, whatever you're doing, one thing this pandemic has done is it has allowed the necessary concentrated focus on, hopefully it has, what you need, what you are giving, how what you're giving is being reciprocated, and how you are managing your own emotions and your needs and desires with that partner that you have chosen to partner with. And some people are seeing some shortcomings. I'm just, they wouldn't agree to come on the podcast. They're like, no, I can't come because I'm still with this person. But, they did share with me, like, you really see who someone is in a time like this, when we're stressed and when we are living in a time of uncertainty, even our views, we are grappling with a lot, not just on an emotional level, not just on a love or relationship, or not on faith, but maybe spiritually we're not on the same wavelength that I thought we were on, because the way I'm approaching this pandemic, or the way I'm approaching racism from a spiritual perspective first, may not be the way they're approaching it. They may be coming from a worldly perspective, and so we have a lot of things kind of just juggling in the air. And when you're in a relationship where you have professed love and what your expectations are, then you really see what you are willing to put up with, I think, and what you're lacking, or where you need to maybe step back and evaluate where you are. I know that I've found, I'm trying to find the right words to describe it. I've found that as I've gotten older, I require a level of support from a basic emotional level, more so than a physical level. So, because when you're young, everything is butterflies and rainbows and all this kind of stuff. But when you go through things, when you walk through death of loved ones and job losses, or financial hardship, or major life changes, or building a home together. If those, I know people who are right now in the midst of buying homes or selling homes, and it's stressful, and you realize that what you need is a stability in emotional support, that it's just not a text message, it's just not a pick up the phone call, or hey boo boo, blah blah blah. No, it's really like, I got you. I understand what you're going through. It is I'm invested in your well-being through all seasons, and through this pandemic, you really need that level of emotional investment. And I even say, like, even with this podcast, which is very new still, and has required a lot of me. Like, I have really stepped out on just really a cliff of faith, and I did it, and I tied it around, my father's birthdays when I launched, and that was just, it was a big deal for me. A huge deal for me to even do a podcast, first of all, because I'm like, okay, we're really doing this. And then when I did it, and then I did it around such a significant date and a significant time, what I needed most was the emotional support. I'm with you. I'm there. I'm proud of you. I love you. This is great. This is awesome. And I think that's where we probably all are, is, for those who, when I've spoken with friends who are married, and they're like, I took a leap of faith, and during this pandemic, I launched this, or I quit my job, or I took a chance and went for another job opportunity, in the midst of a pandemic, and I got it, and what they've all said is, I needed somebody to have my back and to say, I'm proud of you. Good job. I got you. Don't worry about nothing. Don't worry about what nobody says. I don't care if you got 100 subscribers, which I do now. 100 subscribers. Giveaway coming out soon. Trust is coming soon. But I don't care if you have 100 subscribers or 100,000 subscribers or 1 subscriber. I in your corner, and I got you, and I see how important this was to you. And I think that's the give and take in relationships, that as you get older, I'm talking about dating after divorce. I'm talking about these older people, probably seasoned problems, seasoned issues. This is not, the young woman just out of college, the world is your oyster. No, this is, I already been married, I already have children, I'm at the point where I'm approaching a half a century of age. So we got a whole different set of values. And in those values, you are blending and hopefully gaining in your love relationships the reciprocation and the understanding of what's important and what means the most. And it is going to, I think it's going to bring out better for those who have really used this pandemic time to get everything you can snatch up out of this moment. Because I always tell people, I throw myself on the cross first. Like at the foot of the cross, I go first. So before I say, I don't see people putting forth the effort, I don't see men doing this, I don't see that, I'm like, let me just go and throw myself down there and see what the Lord got for me. To where am I, in a relationship? Have I grown from what I've learned, and am I giving and showing everything that I have to offer, and being that supportive, reciprocating, just girlfriend, we go together kind of thing. Or I don't want anybody to look up one day and say, hey, I thought we went together. I'm not rolling like that. I'm honest with you about that, and I'm loyal. So it's not like you ain't gonna see me just posted up, cheesing on a beach, with a whole fiance, and you thought you was going with me. But like I said, go together means nothing no more. I throw that out, y'all. In 2020, throw out the word go together, because that's, first of all, I'm too old, I guess, to even be saying go together, because that means nothing. But anyway, I hope you're snatching up out of the pandemic time with yourself and with your lover, loved ones, husband, spouse, significant other, boyfriend, girlfriend, if you want to use that terminology. I hope that in it you have found where there's opportunity for growth and for building and for making it better. If you find yourself, feeling stressed, or like, is this the right situation? If you're married now, y'all gonna make that thing, go on, try to keep that thing in the road. But if you're dating and the pandemic has put some extra pressure on you, I hope that you are using this time, extra time, to address it and to be honest and take the time that you don't have to travel, that you don't have to be out in these streets and out in this crowded pandemic, breathing with masks. You don't have time for all that. You probably home or working or whatever, but when you're going from home to work or working from home or whatever you're doing, that you have that moment to sit down and really evaluate what is important to you, what you really need, and then evaluate what you're giving and how you are setting yourself up for a good, strong relationship. And if anything, for me, seeing just not only going into the pandemic and dealing with relationships and dealing with where things stand with people, there is my revelation. The one thing that I have gathered from my stuff and listening to other people and watching other folks move is you cannot give or be expected to give MVP behavior. Y'all can see how much I miss sports. MVP, most valuable player. Some people want you to give MVP behavior and be the strongest player on the team without a trophy, without a contract, without any of all the spoils that come with what you get when you are an MVP. In other words, if you are in rotation, which now that I understand how y'all moving out here in these dating streets, obviously there's rotation. You're not just dating one person, you may be dating multiple people. And if you're expected to be going hard, doing wife-like things and wife behavior and going all in, and you ain't there for me, you ain't supporting me, you're not calling me, you ain't texting me. Well, the last time I checked, the man chased the woman, and not even chased, the man pursued the woman, and the woman, of course, plays her role in being respectful and loyal and hopefully wife material. Because what's the point in dating if you're not dating for long term? To me, why even date? I don't have time just to be dating because I don't have anything to do. I'm dating with purpose and intention. But if you're expecting men to, if you're expected to be an MVP and nobody can sign you or enter a covenant or give you a trophy, a ring, and they're not even in a position to give you a ring or to make you their spouse or to say you're betrothed to me, engage. You can't even do that, but you expect MVP behavior. That's one thing I've seen in this pandemic that I'm like, that's it. Folks want MVP stuff when they're not in a position to even treat you like an MVP. So if I don't have a uniform, if I'm walking out here with my recreation shirt and that I can flip, it's blue on one side and red on the other, and I only have no number on it or nothing. It's just, oh, you red today because you just in somebody's rotation, or you blue today. You don't even have a number. You don't even have a team name. You don't even have the man's name, or you have not decided to give the woman your name. Whatever it is, that's something to evaluate. Is you can expect MVP behavior. No, unacceptable. So anyway, that is just where it stands and what I've learned and what I've seen. But I want to hear from you. What are you experiencing out there in these dating, in this relationship, in these love relationships, in these pandemic streets? What has it brought to bear for you? What have you learned? Because I'm trying to get everything I can get out of this pandemic. Everything. I want to get the spiritual, the emotional, the career, the entrepreneurial, everything that I can pull out of it except the COVID-19. I want that. But everything else that I can pull out of this pandemic, I'm trying to get it, especially the lessons and especially the spiritual lessons. So, in this, I want to hear from you. What have you learned? Have you changed your dating game? Were you starting to date someone and then the pandemic happened, and so all the coffee shops and all the restaurants closed, so now you're forced to FaceTime? Or how did that work out? Did it work out? Did not being able to see your significant other hurt? Or if being in the house or in the home with someone for months without vacation or anything like that, how did that change you, and how did it grow you? How did it make you closer? Because it's not that a pandemic brings about negative change. For some people, they've grown even stronger together and gone closer together. So what was your experience? I'm curious. I want to know. I want you to get in the comments and share with us, and then talk to us about it. Definitely please ride with us on social media. If you are engaged on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, at Katie Bryant Writes is how you can follow me and engage with me. Let's talk about it. I'm dropping a blog. That's one thing the pandemic has revealed. I've got to get focused on my blog game. I've been so busy doing the podcast, I kind of let the blog slip and slide a little bit, but I am releasing a blog soon. at Katie. That is KatieBryantWrites.com. That's the blog. The blog is Life Unfolding. Please join us there. Watch that. Check it out. Tell me what you think. Engage there. If you are listening to this and you have not watched the video version of the podcast on YouTube, then the YouTube channel is Life Can Be a Niche. Come on over, watch it. We'd love to have you join and subscribe. And for those of you who are watching, if you haven't subscribed but you're watching this on video, what's stopping you from just hitting subscribe and then hit the notification too, so you know when I'm dropping a video. I'd love to hear from you and engage with you there. Don't forget the 100 subscribers. I got 100 subscribers, baby, and we are still giving away that giveaway to the first 100. We are randomly choosing someone to receive a special prize. We'll be announcing that giveaway very soon. I cannot wait to show you and tell you what it is. And as always, thank you for coming into the living room with us and doing life with us. We love having you here. We appreciate you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing and telling other people about the podcast. It means the world to me, more than you could possibly know. Definitely, as I love to say, be good to yourselves and be good to each other. And I will see you when I see you.